Hello everyone, my name is Kory from Cast 205, and this is my final project live reading of our short story scripts. Mine is called The Yard, based off a messed up shift at work. So without further ado, here is The Yard. So it begins with a fade in of a busy and chaotic parking lot on a cloudy evening. A car comes into view and finds one of the last remaining parking spots. Out steps Cletus, an amateur maintenance employee at the Yard Athletic Center. The Yard, title screen. And here's a character introduction. Here we meet Cletus, a new recruit to the maintenance team. He's easily stressed. That's his only trait. Bummer, dude, Cletus thinks to himself as he approaches on a totally wicked night of soccer tournaments. Cletus looks upon the massive white dome concealing the two full-size soccer fields. His stomach churns at the thought of all the chalked up toilets he's going to have to clean. So now he makes his way into a busy lobby. Cletus nearly soils his trousers at the sight of a gnarly concession stand line. The sight of his co-workers brings him chiller vibes. Here we meet two new characters, Boop and Dog. They are two other maintenance employees. They're highly productive, but they're also highly wild, and they are total bros. Bro, you should have seen it. Boop ate some sand earlier, says Dog. Cletus was admittedly stoked on Boop, but it wasn't enough to take his mind off the crazy prepubescent soccer players trotting around. So now our three maintenance employees make their way into the indoor soccer fields. Boop, Dog, and Cletus have a few solid minutes of chatter before splitting up to take on the super high priority maintenance tasks. To Cletus' surprise, his shift starts off pretty chill. No floor dookies, no broken bones, only a ton of plastic scattered all over the damn floor. Cletus picks up most of the wrappers before he is swiftly overcome with feelings of hunger. He exits the dome in pursuit of a soft pretzel with mustard. Jalapenos as well, but only when nobody's watching. And right here we'll see Cletus exit the dome through a turnstile door, back through the lobby, and into the kitchen. And this is all while some sort of freeform jazz is playing. Alright, so now we're in the kitchen. Cletus can hardly wait to dive into his soft pretzel. With intense excitement written clearly all over his face, he drowns his pretzel in mustard. Saliva drips from his lips as he tears into his pretzel, similar to how a northwestern African cheetah would rip into an unsuspecting gazelle. His lip smacking is so loud it can be heard from the parking lot. He lives for this. Now we get a quick shot of the parking lot and it returns back to Cletus and his pretzel. Just as Cletus is about to take another honk and bite, he is overwhelmed with an intense darkness. A darkness so dark it can make a man want to turn a light on. Cletus exits the kitchen into a dark and rattled lobby. Goodness gracious, what in the bloody hell is going on here, says Cletus. Blackout, yells a shaken front desk worker. Before Cletus can react, an angry Russian soccer coach projects himself through the revolving door into Cletus' energy space. Cletus is stressed. The coach yells in distress that his games can't continue without the lights on. No shit, Cletus thinks in his head. The coach continues to display his distress while getting a little too handsy with Cletus. Cletus already doesn't like being touched, so having a greasy old man shaking his shoulders pisses him off. Touch me again and I'll rip your jaw off, says Cletus. Before the coach can react, Cletus hauls out the door to link with his bro workers. Cletus finds Boop and Dog, and they try to comfort each other in these trying times. They gather their thoughts and start flipping every little breaker their little fingers could flip. Cletus flips a switch at an outdoor circuit breaker and some lights come back on. We're getting there, boys. Stay strong, says Cletus into his TIAT TP8100 two-way police and fire grade radio walkie-talkie. Boop and Dog radio back. Yeehaw, they both say at the exact same time. Cletus begins walking back towards the main entrance. He is clearly riddled with euphoria, but before he can get too excited, he gets a call from the one and only Chaw. So this is where we'll meet Chaw. Chaw is the manager of the kitchen. She has a smoker's cough and a very dirty van, and she is also a woman. If there's one thing Cletus knows, it's that getting a call from Chaw is like getting a call from God telling you the world is about to be in shambles. Cletus nervously takes out his MP3 flip phone out of his pocket and puts it to his ear. Chaw yells at Cletus in a barely coherent and raspy voice. Cletus worries that she is possessed and quickly hangs up. As he ponders the riddle that Chaw had just spoke, he gazes upon the outer walls of the dome enclosing the soccer fields. Right here we'll get a aerial view of the soccer dome. Cletus realizes that Chaw was telling him the dome is deflating. The blackout caused the blower that was keeping the dome inflated to lose its power. Now we cut back to Cletus at the outer dome at night by his circuit breakers. Cletus, who is currently losing his marbles, rushes to the nearest panel of circuit breakers in hopes of turning on the blower. If only Boop and Dog were here. I need their wisdom, Cletus thinks to himself. Cletus doesn't know whether he should call Boop and Dog so he can be calmed by their voices, or if he should call the boss and potentially save lives. So this is where we meet Piper, a new character. Piper is the boss. He is easily angered and doesn't take too kindly to screwing around. Nervous that he's going to get in trouble, Cletus quickly makes the decision to call Piper. The phone begins to ring. Sir Piper, the dome is coming down and there are hundreds of kids inside. I must know the proper breaker to switch, says Cletus before Piper even has a chance to speak. Piper takes his time to respond and begins to speak with clear frustration that Cletus hasn't been studying his breaker manual. Oi, so you mean to tell me you don't know the proper breakers, mate? Piper yells in a vicious Australian accent. Before Cletus can defend himself, Piper continues to pummel him with harsh verbal Australian zingers. Cletus rapidly gets more stressed out and anger builds inside him. After another 73 seconds of arguing, Cletus finally snaps. Piper, you are straight up stressing me out, Chief, Cletus says in a clearly distressed voice. Piper doesn't get the chance to respond before Cletus chimes in for a second time. This dome is losing air faster than a drowning animal, and all these kids are going to be crushed if you don't just help me out. The scene fades from the perspective of Cletus at the outer dome to Piper sitting in his office surrounded by his trophies he collected big game hunting. Piper sits and empathizes with Cletus's frustration as he recollects on his frustration with standardized testing as a teenager and how it made him feel helpless in the real world. Oi, chap, I didn't mean it. Take a sec to collect your marbles and we'll fix this thing, Piper says in a soft Australian accent. Now we cut back from Piper in his office to Cletus looking at the massive panel of circuit breakers. Hearing those words slowly brings up Cletus' spirits. He glances at the wall of circuit breakers with a fierce confidence and a hint of sass. Piper and Cletus work together and swiftly flip the proper breakers to power up the blower, all while ignoring the screams of terrified families inside. Close-up slow-motion shot of Cletus' intense body sweat. He looks as if he just jumped in a lake. Cletus firmly grasps the last breaker and flips it using all of his strength. The breaker slams hard when it flips and the dome gradually stops deflating. Cletus stares at the dome, ravaged with body odor. Here we'll get an aerial view of the dome coming to a complete halt of deflation and then flirting with inflation. Cletus cries out like a banshee in relief. He follows this outburst with intense vomiting and euphoric release of bad toxins. Cletus collapses to the ground all while his spirits are uplifted by the cheering families inside. Here we'll get a quick cut back to Piper's office. There'll be a shot of Piper staring at his phone, listening to Cletus cry out tears of joy. And Piper smirks. Hardy job, mate. Hardy job, he says. Cletus gets his bearings straight and stands up. He runs towards the entrance like he's being chased by a herd of cypress dwarf elephants. He bursts through the front doors and anxiously looks for his co-workers. Now we're back at the main lobby. A very stinky Cletus rapidly looks in different directions, hoping to catch a glance of his friend's Boop and Dog. He glances through the concession stand window to catch sight of Chaw ripping a dart and avoiding responsibility. Cletus isn't surprised. Cletus hurls himself through the turnstile doors with the bravery of a noble knight. Now we're back at the indoor soccer fields. Before Cletus has even looked around, he yells, "Where are they?" To Cletus's amazement, the emotion was already entirely settled down. The families looked at Cletus with confusion. "The hell are you yelling for, man?" a stranger says amidst the massed confusion. Cletus ignores the stranger and goes into a full sprint through the soccer games, desperately looking for his co-workers. He hears Dog groan from across the dome and runs towards the source of the sound with fears of the worst. Cletus is relieved to find Boop and Dog using the weight room in the back corner of the dome ripping a killer bench press. "You guys had me worried sick," Cletus cries out. Boop chimes in, "We saw what you did out there, kid. It was pretty rad. You've inspired us to persevere and conquer our demons." "Yeah, seeing you conquer those circuit breakers inspired me to get my chest shredded and have a killer body," says Dog. Here we'll get a shot of Cletus turning around and staring up at the now lit LED ceiling lights. Without taking his eyes off the lights, Cletus calmly says, "Boys, if you don't mind, I have some business to attend to." Cletus walks through the turnstile doors, through the lobby, and into the kitchen. Jazz music. Cletus glances through the kitchen doorway at his leftover pretzel with a devilish look. Now we're back in the kitchen once more. Cletus clenches onto his pretzel as if he hasn't seen food in 8 days. He violently slams his fist on the counter and kicks his leg as he stress eats the cold remainder of his soft pretzel. Chaw looks over at Cletus and mutters an incoherent, "Good job, kid." Cletus stares deeply into Chaw's eyes. Without breaking eye contact, Cletus combines his soft pretzel and mustard with a jalapeno right in front of Chaw's face. He shamelessly eats the whole thing as Chaw stares in confusion. It was magical. The end. I chime in with a haven't you people ever